people can often see that trying to build an aesthetic body as being selfish or self-absorbed. And the truth is, they are right. But I mean, if we don't do things that make us proud of who we are and who we're trying to become, then why the hell are we living life anyway? Like, what's the point to all of this if we aren't trying to evolve? After all, that's what we're wired to do. So a lot of us go on this journey, but we're met with a few unintended consequences that, maybe we weren't expecting. I know I did. And, and like most things in life, there is a good and a bad. There's a yin and a yang. And it's all about choosing the sacrifices that you're willing to endure. And this journey of trying to build, an aesthetic body or a physique that you're proud of, it's about growth. It's about evolving into a version of ourselves that we can be proud of. It's about answering that innate human call to transform. Yet, like any significant change, this path comes with, unexpected things to come up, both positive and negative. So in this video, I'm going to give 4 positives and 4 negative things, that has happened on my journey of building an aesthetic body, in hopes of that if you're on yours and you're coming across these, that 1, it gives you encouragement, or 2, if you're about to start yours, that you can have these in your head so that these aren't the things that derail your progress. So, number 1, the judgment of those closest to you. So it's a really weird thing about human nature that we resist change, right? Not just when we are trying to change things about ourselves, but others too. As you embark on, this transformation, you might find friends and family struggling to accept this new version of you that you're trying to take on. And their reactions could range from subtle comments to overt attempts to sway you back to the way that you were previously. I know any holiday I go home on now, somebody makes a comment about, oh, you sure you can eat that now? And it's like, it's very frustrating because they just have no idea, because it's not something that they've ever been comfortable enough to do for themselves. And this resistance often comes from their discomfort with change. And it creates a lot of friction in your relationship with them. And ultimately it's a test of your resolve, requiring you to either set firm boundaries or to find a way to navigate these shifts while staying true to your goals. So as humans, we don't like when things don't line up with how we think the world actually is. And, the same goes for our perceptions of other people. And so this causes a lot of strife, when people aren't mature enough to understand that life is about growth and not being the same person that you've always been. Entropy is this concept of basically a measure of disorder in a system, right? And if you think about your life as a system, unless you actively act to try and improve it, it's always going to revert back to some form of chaos, because highly ordered systems have the least amount of entropy. So this is why a lot of people, that will start on a journey and they'll get progress, and then they end up finding themselves, stuck again, because they don't methodically, continue on the system and the process that they set for themselves. And this is something, a very big factor, is the people closest to us are going to, whether they're intentionally doing it or not, they're going to try to get us back to the version of ourselves that we were. So you are going to deal with people that want you to stay the same. And it's your job to stick to your goals and set boundaries, or ignore them and still do your thing. And for me, the best thing is just ignoring them, living your life. And if they're out of it, then they're out of it. If they stick along with you, then that's even better. The second negative, unexpected consequence of building an aesthetic body is, you have to do a lifestyle overhaul. So crafting a physique that you're proud of, or a super aesthetic body, it's not just a hobby. I mean, it is a whole lifestyle. Every aspect of your life, from your daily routine to your diet, needs to align to support your fitness goals. Initially, these things that you'll have to change is very it's abrupt. It's like, oh shit, I've got so much I need to learn to do. And it's going to demand a certain amount of sacrifices and adjustments. But as you settle into a rhythm, you'll likely find a newfound appreciation for this disciplined structure way of life, which I know Jocko Willink always talks about, discipline equals freedom. Oddly enough, the more structured this is, the more freedom that you do have in other areas of your life. So if you're not used to going to the gym multiple times a week, then you'll have to work your schedule to be able to fit it in. And you might have to sacrifice some of that, lounging around and watching, football on Sundays or watching your favorite show every night in order to get that gym time in. You might just have to cut down on that. If you're not used to 10K steps or more, you'll have to fit that in. If you're, used to ordering whatever you want whenever you go out to eat or eating out multiple nights a week, you'll have to figure out what do you need from the grocery store in order to be able to fix your meals ahead of time so that you don't fall off track. And then, your entire view of your life will have to shift to support the goal that you're trying to hit. And it's going to be insanely inconvenient, and it's going to be really hard and difficult to do at first. But if you keep the thoughts of, I will figure this out, I don't have it figured out yet, but that time is coming and I will get there, that's going to change how you interact with the world. And that's basically what the development of a growth mindset is understanding that you are where you are now, you know where you're trying to go, and even if you fail along the way, you're still eventually going to get there, and you will as long as you continue to take step after step after step. The third is the cost of a new wardrobe. This is one of the lighter yet a little bit more significant ones of consequences of changing your physique is you're probably going to want a new wardrobe. You're going to, as your body transforms, your old clothes may not fit the same way and flatter, the shape that you have now. And while it's exciting to build this body that you're proud of, just the aspect of like, hey, I'm going to have to buy new clothes and possibly things that I'm not used to wearing is just something to consider with it. And the fourth is, the risk of developing a little bit of body dysmorphia. And I previously did a video on this, and I'll link it down below if you haven't watched it. But in the pursuit of this like physical, ideal that we have in our mind, it's easy to cross the line into obsession and develop body dysmorphia, which is, the distorted perception of your own body. And it can be a real challenge, which can lead into, an unhealthy relationship with food and exercise. And it's crucial to stay, vigilant and seek help if you do find, that your self-perception is actually less than, prior to starting this journey. Or if it's at least starting to skew that direction, have a support system. Have people to talk to and let them know your struggles that have also maybe gone through that or, are on the journey with you. And, I did, in that other video that I did, I talk about, the importance of having other things to attach your identity to while you're going through this process. Yes, you can have your number one overarching goal and that be the main thing, but having other things and other things of value in your life that you think are valuable is equally as important so that you can maintain a level head and not be so damn hard on yourself all the time. Now, despite these challenges, there is a brighter side to things. And, whenever you transform your body, people do notice. So the first, positive consequence of building an aesthetic body is just earning respect. And, an aesthetic body and that people notice often commands, at least on some level, a certain amount of respect. It's a physical testament of discipline, commitment, hard work, and people, even skeptics, tend to acknowledge the effort that goes into sculpting that type of physique. And usually the people that don't really appreciate it are people that haven't ever done it and are people that aren't going to change their ways anyway. So the respect that it can extend beyond just your appearance. It can influence how other people perceive and interact with you in other areas of life. Even the haters on some level, they're mad about it. They don't believe they can do it, and that's why they're spreading their hate on you. You also have another thing to consider is the psychological phenomenon of the halo effect, which is basically like people tend to give more attractive people more attention and opportunities. So, this could be something that, you could end up finding out you can use to your advantage on things. And I think there's this other element of people respect the grind, and it shows a level of discipline and commitment that not many other people have, which will at least give you the chance to be able to put your word in, and people might actually listen to you. And at least respect what you have to say on some level, even if it's not necessarily like 100% true or whatever, people are going to listen. And this doesn't give you an excuse to be an asshat. However, it's definitely something that I find as being a net positive, and it has, been shown, even in the workplace, to be a positive for me, because it makes it super easy to spark up conversation. People want to spark up conversation with you, ask what you've done in the gym, or blah, 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 blah. And then it feels really good to know that, this is something that you know how to do that maybe somebody else doesn't know, which ultimately, like, spreading that knowledge is, like, it's very fulfilling, at least in my eyes. Second positive consequence is you look good in about damn near everything. And there's, like, a unique confidence that comes from it, because no matter what you wear, like whether it's casual attire, formal wear, a fit body is going to enhance your appearance and giving you a more natural and effortless style. So I always say, like, when you're super fit, you can probably wear a trash bag and people will think you look good. Typically, people are able to see the contours of your body better, even if you're wearing something that's super oversized. And, they can tell that you have a little bit more shape and definition. And I noticed I was actually just in a gas station in the middle of nowhere on a road trip, and some dude commented, because I was wearing a super baggy, like, oversized sweatshirt, and some dude, just based on my traps, could tell. He's like, dude, I can tell you're probably jacked underneath that pump cover. And I was like, oh shit, thanks, dude. And, like, it's not necessarily that led to anything, but those types of positive feedback really help with, your ego and, like, kind of how you see yourself. So overall, you look good in everything and people do notice. Now, the third positive thing that comes from building an aesthetic body is just your mental fortitude and success levels tend to, at least skew in the positive direction. So one of the most, like, for me, the most profound benefits of the journey is the development of, like, my mental strength and the discipline required for, to transform your body, because it teaches you valuable lessons about, like, consistency, perseverance, and, the power of just tiny incremental progress compounding over time. And this mental shift can, like, positively impact all areas of your life, which give you a stronger, more resilient mindset. So one of the biggest net benefits for me was, understanding that how these things compound. You realize, you don't have to just grind your face into the ground 24/7, but it's actually just about making the tiny, better decisions on a daily basis. So if you're in a situation where you're like, damn, I'm hungry, I really don't feel like cooking, I could go get McDonald's over here, just ask yourself, what is the better decision? Is it going to McDonald's, or is it cooking at home, regardless of how you feel? More than likely, it's going to be the cooking at home. So just focus on make the better decision. And so I like to term this idea into stacking days, right? So I only focus on what I have to do on a given day. I don't worry about tomorrow. I don't worry about next week. I don't worry about yesterday. And for me, all I'm trying to do is stack one day onto the next, onto the next, onto the next. And in the terms of dieting, let's say I'm craving ice cream. I tell myself, hey, I do want this. I can have it tomorrow, but for today, let's just refrain from it. And then we can pick this back up, tomorrow or at a later date. And what tends to happen is, that craving goes away after about 20 to 30 minutes. And then the next day, I don't really crave the thing anymore. And sometimes even 4 or 5 days go by and I'm like, oh crap, I never even got, that ice cream. And then of course that could trigger another craving, which then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just wait till tomorrow. So just this idea of just stack your days one after another. And then also you have to reframe certain things in your mind to benefit how you would prefer to see the world. So for me, whenever I'm cutting weight, when I'm hungry, I just flip, the idea in my mind of I'm hungry rather than, oh, this is what it feels like to be burning body fat. And that's a big shift. That was a huge shift for me, because then, I could put off those cravings for 20, 30 minutes, slam a glass of water. All of a sudden I'm good. And then lo and behold, 12 weeks later, I've had a successful cut and I feel amazing about myself. And the fourth, benefit that comes from this is I was able, at least for me, I was able to redefine my relationship with food. So successful dieting, can often lead to a healthier perspective on food. It transitions from being a source of, like, emotional comfort to a tool for nourishing and fueling your body. And this shift in perception is crucial for long-term health and well-being. So before I was able to, transform my body, I had an emotional eating habit before I had ever successfully dieted. and had a successful fat loss phase. And, I got a coach, and somewhere along the way, I started, he was able to help me shift this idea in my mind where food is just fuel. It's a means to an end. You do not have to be attached to it. It does not have to be an emotional support for you. And it's all about fueling your training and fueling your muscles to grow and ultimately building the physique that you want to get a desired result. And so whenever you start doing this, it also makes it easier to view life through a new lens because, you do things that you actually care about and that help you take care of yourself rather than eating your feelings. However, with that being said, I do think if you have an actual eating disorder, you need to see a professional to get help with it. But I hope, these these 8 insights helped you out. I would love to hear anybody else's experience in the comments. I am actually putting together a hypertrophy course. So if anybody's interested, just leave comments so I know that it is something that people would want. It'll start off at just like $20, probably be anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of content just to kind of help you guys understand, how to build a body that you're proud of. And then if you also have any other questions, I have my contact info in the description. And until next time, peace.